Shana Tova, Gemar Chatzima Tova. On this most awesome night of the year, we'll have a moment to just listen to the melody of Kol Nidre, so I invite you to close your eyes and take it in.
Quote from our teacher, Rabbi Marshall T. Meyer. As we listen to the melancholic and shattering melody of Kol Nidre, O God, help us to measure our words and to find the courage and strength to be faithful to our resolve. Grant us strength to bridge a bit more of the gulf that separates our goals from our achievements during the coming year. On this Day of Atonement, help us to look into the most profound depths of our being so as to better comprehend the truths of our existence and to be capable of more improvement. Our God and God of our ancestors, as evening casts its shadows over the earth, ushering in the most solemn and sublime day of the year, we meet with our fellow Jews throughout the entire world in prayer and meditation. Let us cast aside from our minds and souls all petty thoughts and vain desires. What is our life, and to what avail our strength? What is our wealth, and to what purpose our power? We lift up our souls, O God, and yearn for your light and inspiration. On this evening of Kol Nidre, sanctified by the memories of countless generations of the past, we find ourselves in your presence, O God, stripped of all pretension and naked in all our weakness. You know well how frail and fragile we really are. God, strengthen us to overcome our weaknesses. Help us find the strength to encounter you in our lives and to courageously confront the truth of our being. Help us to open our hearts and souls so that we may not only hear our own cries, but also the call and the weeping of the enslaved, the oppressed, the hungry, the desperate, the suffering, and the forgotten. In this spirit, vibrating to these chords, we rise for Kol Nidre.
Page 204. Bishiva shel mala uvishiva shel mata, al da'at hamakom v'al da'at hakahal, anu matirin lehitpalel im ha'avaryanim. By the authority of the court on high and by the authority of this court below, with divine consent and with the consent of this congregation, we grant permission to pray with those who have transgressed. Bishiva shel mala uvishiva shel mata, al da'at hamakom v'al da'at hakahal, anu matirin lehitpalel im ha'avaryanim. Page 205.
Amen. לעוונם הזה כגודל חסדך, וכאשר נסעת לעם הזה ממצרים ועד הנה, ושם נאמר ויאמר אדוני שמחתי כדבריך, ויאמר אדוני שמחתי כדבריך, ויאמר אדוני שמחתי כדבריך.
may be seated. A story about Moshe after he fled from Egypt, which appears in Elie Wiesel's book, Messengers of God. After many adventures, Moshe arrived in the land of Midian and settled there. He married the daughter of the priest Yitro, and they had 2 sons, Eliezer and Gershon. They led a peaceful, idyllic existence. Did he sometimes remember his parents, his persecuted brothers and sisters? Apparently not. At least nothing in the text of legends alludes to it. A vast desert separated him from them, and he was content. Whatever was happening there in faraway Egypt no longer interested him. Strange. For 40 years, Moshe lived in his new adopted land without ever worrying about his family's fate. What had taken place inside of him? He who had risked his fortune, his freedom, his future to save one single life. Why didn't he at least try to ascertain whether his people, an entire people, was still suffering or had been allowed some respite? Moshe had become a stranger in more ways than one. A stranger to the Egyptian people, to the Jewish people, and to himself. One day, as he was tending his flock, his father-in-law's flock, an angel of God appeared to him in a burning bush. But Moshe refused to serve as God's messenger. It took God 7 days to convince him, says a midrash. Moshe refused, advancing all kinds of arguments. Why me? Why not an angel? Or my older brother Aaron? I am a poor speaker. Also, I am married and I have children. My father-in-law will object. There's some knowing about that, I guess. And furthermore, what am I supposed to tell the Jews when they start asking me so many questions? And what shall I tell Pharaoh when he begins to ask me questions? Clearly, Moshe had no wish to take on a mission and return to Egypt to help redeem his people. However, in the immensity of the desert was the inflamed bush, the all-pervasive solitude, the anxiety, the voice, capital V, both distant and close, insisting, probing, throbbing, burning. How could any human being, even Moshe, resist that voice indefinitely? For 40 years, Moshe lives a life with all he needs, unmoored by the sorrows and injustice of a distant land where his people are enslaved. He lives protected and apart, unbothered and unscathed. And with God's call, he creates a list of excuses, like a David Letterman's top 10 list. He is comfortable with his life, his family, and his job. Why give that up? He has commitments. He's not good enough. There are other people better for the job. Why risk failure? He does not have the strength or power to lead or speak to the people or Pharaoh. The change, the challenge, the mission are too big. But God's call is bigger. And so Moshe ultimately puts himself in that uncomfortable, unknown, and vulnerable place and is sent. V'lo kam navi od b'Yisrael k'Moshe, asher yado Adonai panim el panim. Never again did there arise in Israel a prophet like Moshe, whom God singled out face to face. It may be that Moshe was the greatest prophet and there was no one like him. However, he also had the greatest ambivalence to go on his mission. He didn't want to be an agent for change and give up the contentment of his existence. He did not want to encounter the vulnerable and broken Israelites and the powerful Pharaoh and the enormous task ahead of him. If Moshe, the one singled out by God, struggled to get out of his comfort zone, how much more might we as everyday human beings? Around the time I was contemplating going to rabbinical school, I was driving home from a retreat with a former camp counselor of mine who had become a rabbi. And he turned to me and asked, "Do you believe in God?" I remember feeling astounded by the question. Not such an obscure question to ask someone when she is considering becoming a rabbi. But I was astounded more so when I realized I had no answer. I was dumbfounded. No answer? No rabbinical school for me. It took me another 2 years to confront my discomfort and search for an answer that led me on this path. One summer during rabbinical school, I trained as a chaplain on an oncology ward. I remember early in the time, a day when I stood in the hallway outside the room of a man who had advanced stage cancer. He was in pain and very sick. He was exposed and vulnerable. And yet, I was the one who felt uncomfortable and afraid. It took me a handful of minutes standing there in the hallway to get over myself and get up the courage to walk in the room. I remember other times when I decided to become a mom on my own, or when I attended protests and worried about violence, or the first time I entered a maximum security prison to visit an inmate convicted of felony murder, who's actually sitting in this room right now. She's out. Or even now, what it takes to stand before you on this holy night of the year. I could tell countless stories, as I'm sure can you, of times I felt paralyzed by fear, feeling like the 3 steps through the doorway felt like the 26 miles of a marathon, or preferring to stay comfortable on the couch at home rather than the inconvenience of getting out and showing up in a big way. It's uncomfortable to be called, to move beyond what we know, to acknowledge we are weak and afraid to risk failure, or that we might actually matter and be the one to make a difference. It's scary to feel we might be powerful. Brian Stevenson believes we cannot make change unless we are willing to get uncomfortable. We need to get proximate, yes. We need to change narratives, yes. And we need to decide to do the uncomfortable and inconvenient. We are hardwired biologically and psychologically to do what is comfortable. We like comfort whether in food or in familiar people or in reruns, and even sitting in the same seat in shul or in jazz at Lincoln Center. We want what we know, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we can't make change or build a just world if we don't choose to risk something. Brian Stevenson said, "I owe my life and opportunities to people who chose to be uncomfortable, who chose to protest, to resist, to boycott, people who chose to stand up when everyone was telling them to sit, to speak when everyone was telling them to be quiet." Listen to the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in his letter from the Birmingham jail. "I am thankful to God that some noble souls from the ranks of organized religion have broken loose from the paralyzing chains of conformity and joined us as active partners in the struggle for freedom. They have left their secure congregations and walked the streets of Albany, Georgia, with us. They have gone down the highways of the South on torturous rides for freedom. They have carved a tunnel of hope through the dark mountain of disappointment." And the words of Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel in his lecture, "No Religion is an Island." The supreme issue today is not the halakha for the Jew or the church for the Christian. The supreme issue is whether we are alive or dead to the challenge and the expectation of the living God. Or even in the words of Greta Thunberg, the young climate justice activist, "I've learned that you are never too small to make a difference, but to do that, we have to speak clearly, no matter how uncomfortable that may be. But I don't care about being popular. I care about climate justice and the living planet." Choosing to do what is uncomfortable is at the core of religious life. Redemption, justice, and dignity for all does not happen if we sit back and relax. In a religious community, we count on each other, and that obligates us to show up for a Shiva minyan, or bring a meal to someone who is sick, or even sleep in the shelter. Those commitments don't appear on our timetable or when it is convenient, but that is the nature of the command. It is even uncomfortable to have hard conversations with those we love and have hurt us. Teshuvah, repentance, is about going to that discomfort and confronting it head on. That is the place where personal and communal change is possible. We do receive comfort in religious life, and of course, there is a value in it. However, a deep and transformative religious life is one that is agitating, demanding, and discomforting, and stretches us. It wakes us up. Yom Kippur is a 25-hour exercise in being uncomfortable. We don't eat or shower. There is no physical intimacy. We beat our chests, confront our faults and our failures in not living up to who we are meant to be. We confront our mortality. We actually wear the clothes we're going to wear when we die, if we wear a kittel or linen white. And the most uncomfortable thing of all, if we are willing to go there, is to meet our brokenness and our vulnerability. No more defenses, no more pretensions. It may be where we are most exposed, but it is also where we can feel most human and where the deepest transformation is possible. In his book, Just Mercy, Brian Stevenson writes, "You can't effectively fight abusive power, poverty, inequality, illness, oppression, or injustice and not be broken by it. We are all broken by something. We have all hurt someone and have been hurt. We all share the condition of brokenness, even if our brokenness is not equivalent. It is what makes us human. Our shared vulnerability and imperfection nurtures and sustains our capacity for compassion. We have a choice. We can embrace our humanness, which means embracing our broken natures and the compassion that remains our best hope for healing. Or we can deny our brokenness, forswear compassion, and as a result, deny our own humanity. This is a countercultural message. Our society waves a model of perfectionism in our face. Perfect bodies, perfect SAT scores. We count up the successes and achievements and post them on Facebook and Instagram like we live the happiest and most perfect of lives. Parents pay people to take their kids' college tests so they can go to the right school, which will no doubt set them on the path to the perfect life. Where is the honesty? Where is our humanity? What have we become? And yet Stevenson said we should embrace our brokenness. It is where we are most alive with compassion and most connected to our humanity. Rabbi Abba Bar Yudan said, "What is considered ritually impure in an animal is permitted in a human being. An animal is unfit if it is broken or maimed or with a growth. But in a person, a broken and contrite heart is considered fit." Rabbi Alexandri said, "If an ordinary person makes use of a broken vessel, it is a shameful thing. But the Blessed Holy One only makes use of broken vessels. As it is written, Karov Adonai lenishberei lev. Adonai is close to the brokenhearted." Through this midrash, we come to understand that God knows our imperfections. We are God's broken vessels. All of us, imperfect and flawed, beautiful and broken. We are God's offering in this world. Rabbi Simcha Bunim said, "A broken heart prepares a person for the service of God." The broken heart is what catalyzes something in us. The breaking makes something come out from the inside. It is through our brokenness that we can awaken the deepest sense of our commitment and love and compassion for ourselves and for each other. It is from that place that we find our mission and our purpose. Moshe ultimately says yes to his mission, and tonight we begin a journey of going to the uncomfortable and inconvenient places. In the coming 25 hours, we will not see the burning bush. We may not be in all-pervasive solitude, but the voice is both distant and close, calling to us. We cannot resist that voice indefinitely. And like the prophet Yeshayahu, who heard the voice of God asking, "Et mi eshlach, umi yelech lanu?" Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? Yeshayahu's answer, "Hineni shilacheni." Here I am, send me. Here I am, here we are. Send us. We turn now to Lecha Eli Teshukati in the pamphlets on page 3. like we open with this melody, or not right away, but in this moment, in the words, Uma ani, Uma chayai, Uma kochi, ve'atzmotai. What am I and what is my life? What is my strength and what is my power? Once you say them at the beginning, I feel like they resonate through the rest of the day. Through all the next 24 hours, who are we is the question that lives throughout the next 25 hours, trying to pursue who we are, how we're broken, and how we're going to build up again to be the strength that we need to be in this world, that God needs us to be in this world. So I always have those words from this beautiful little melody that we sing at the beginning resonating with me till the end of Yom Kippur, and I hope and pray there'll be something for you too. Please rise, Baruch Hu, page 207. We continue with the brachot before the Shema. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bivaro ma'ariv aravim b'chokhmah patech.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני.
Baruch hu baruch shemo. Page 208.
ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני.
Baruch hu baruch shemo. בכל לבבך, בכל נפשך, בכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ולכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך. Continue on 209. Vayim Shmoat Tishmoat.
Adonai Elohechem Emet.
We turn to page 210, Umalchuto in the middle of the page with a little triangle.
Umalchuto beratzon kibelu alehem Moshe Miriam uvnei Yisrael Lechanu shira besimcha raba ve'amru chulam mi chamocha ba'emim Adonai mi kamocha netam hakodesh nora tehibot oseh Malechutecha ravanecha bokeh hayam lifnei Moshe zeili anu ve'ameru Adonai yimbo ve'olam va'ed ve'nemor kifad Adonai et Yaakov uge'alo miyad chazak mimenu Baruch ata Adonai Baruch hu Baruch Shemo Gadol Yisrael Amen.
We pray for peace, page 211. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Amidenu Malkeinu lechaim, Ufros aleinu sukat shalomecha v'tachenu.
Ufros aleinu sukat shalomecha Baruch ata Adonai
Baruch hu Baruch Shemo Haborei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael
ועל ירושלים ועל כל יושבי תבל.
Amen. Please rise, page 212, the second paragraph, Ki Bayom Hazeh. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Yotzi Kaddish, the middle of page 212.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה
Amen.
ועל עמו דברה כינותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו
Amen. Yesh meraba mevara le'olam olam me'amaya yitbarach.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה לעילה לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה
Tushbechata v'nechemata.
תמירן בעלמה ואמרו
Amen. We have the first Amidah of this Yom Kippur with the vidui in it, and we're going to do this 5 times, twice, many times also. And I just invite you to spend this time wisely, whether it's with the machzor, with the guide of the prayer book that helps you to find the place that you need to find, which everyone has their own journey that they need to be on in these 25 hours, or it's just having time to reflect on mi ani u'mi chayai, who am I and what is my life. So we begin this Yom Kippur and this Amidah on page 213 to 221.
בספר חיים ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה ניזכר וניכתב לפניך אנחנו וכל עמך בישראל לחיים טובים
שלום, בספר חיים, ברכה ושלום, ופרנסה טובה, ניזכר וניכתב לפניך, אנחנו וכל עמך בית ישראל, לחיים טובים ולשלום. The ark is opened for Ya'aneh, page 223.
יעלה תחנוננו מערב ויבוא שבתנו מבוקר ויראה רינוננו עד ערב יעלה עינוינו
ויבוא גילנו מבוקר ויראה בקשתנו עד ערב ויראה בקשתנו עד ערב יעלן כתנו בערב ויבוא אליך מבוקר Please remain standing for the 13 Midot on page 232. The 13 attributes that Tzroli wrote about in the Kavanah for today are a way, it's a mantra. We'll revisit them over and over and over again for these Yamim Noraim. And it's a way of saying when we don't know what to say, we have something to say. It's supposed to be in some way, this is not the most graceful way to think about it, but it's Pavlovian, actually, that we say these words and God listens. That's the way they were meant to be. They were offered to Moshe as a way to ask for forgiveness for the people. And so when we say them, they're supposed to open up the pathway for us as in some way a guarantee. Page 232.
אל מלך יושב על כיסא רחמים, מתנהג בחסידות, מוחל עוונו עמו, מעביר ראשון ראשון, מרבה מחילה לחטאים, וסליחה לפושעים, עושה צדקות עם כל בשר ורוח, לא חרתם תגמול, אל הורת לנו על 13, זכר לנו היום ברית 13, כמו שנתת עליו מקדם, כמו שכתוב, וירד אדוני בענן, ויתייצב עמו שם, ויקרא בשם אדוני, ויבוא אדוני על פניו, ויקרא אדוני, אדוני, אל רחום וחנון, אל אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נוצר חסד בעולפים, נושא עוון ופשע, וחטא ונקל.
Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Chanun, Erech Apayim v'Rav Chesed ve'emet, Notzer Chesed la'alafim, Nosei avon v'fesha, v'chata v'nahakeh. You may be seated. We turn to our booklets, Adonas Lechot, page 5. Rachamenu, hear our voice, Adonai our God, be kind and compassionate for us. The Ark is open, page 233.
Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Chus Verachem Aleinu Vekabel Berachamim Uvratzon Et Tefilateinu Hashivenu Adonai Lecha V'noshuva Chadesh Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem
Shema Kolenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Chus V'rachem Aleinu, V'kabel Berachamim Uvratzon Et Tefilateinu, Hashivenu Adonai Elecha V'noshuva Chadesh Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem. May be seated. Ki anu amecha, page 234.
Ki anu amecha
going to rise for the vidui, the confession. And I think many of us, or now we know this notion of beating on our chests as in some way an act of aggression on ourselves. There's a certain sense that we are obviously confessing for things that we've done that are wrong, and so the beating on the chest is a marker of that. And there's also an invitation to think of the beating of the chest as a knocking on the door. What makes us do bad things is our heart is closed. We're immune to the consequences in some way. And perhaps instead of beating hard in a way that in some way is an outcome of being sinners, right? The knocking on the door is to say, open up. Maybe if you open up, we'll be less likely to cause all these sins to occur. So I invite you to please rise, Ashamnu, page 235. To the Al-Chetz, which are on our page 237, the longer confession. It may be hard to believe, but I was extremely shy as a child. I would not speak for, I would not go and ask for ketchup, like at McDonald's or anything like that. I had a shaliach, messenger, and my brother, and it's good to have a sibling for those reasons. And I think, you know, we're inherently, some of us are big blabbers, but there's a certain sense of us that is afraid to open up our mouths and actually speak the confessions, even those of us who might take up a lot of space with our language. There's something about the confessions actually that causes us to cower back, and they're meant to do the opposite. They're meant to actually be spoken out loud, or else they're not a confession. You can't confess in silence. So I invite everyone to speak them out loud, and if Hebrew is not natural to you or is not, you don't understand it, you can say them in English. And we also do all the confessing in the collective for the sake of not saying, oh, that's the person that did that. You know, we don't call anyone out. This is all our own territory. We know who we are. We know who we've been, and we know who we want to be, I hope. Or at least by the end of these 25 hours, I hope we know who we want to be. So we turn to the Al-Chetz on page 237, again in English, or in Hebrew, and then we'll join together for Va'al Kulam. Achet shechatanu lefanecha be'ones v'ratzon, v'achet shechatanu lefanecha be'imutz halev, achet shechatanu lefanecha b'bli dat, achet shechatanu lefanecha b'bitu esifatayim, achet shechatanu lefanecha b'gilui ariyot, achet shechatanu lefanecha b'gilui b'tzater, achet shechatanu lefanecha b'da'at riva, achet shechatanu lefanecha b'dibor peh, achet shechatanu lefanecha b'hona'at rav, achet shechatanu lefanecha b'yarhur lev, achet shechatanu lefanecha b'yidat zanut, achet shechatanu lefanecha b'dupeh, achet shechatanu lefanecha b'zuzul horim, achet shechatanu lefanecha b'zadon mishkaga, achet shechatanu lefanecha b'chotek yav, achet shechatanu lefanecha b'chilul Hashem, achet shechatanu lefanecha b'tumat zavatayim, achet shechatanu lefanecha b'tipshut peh, achet shechatanu lefanecha b'yetzer hara, achet shechatanu lefanecha b'yodim u'v'lo yodim. And we have sinned against you by taking bribes. We have sinned against you by clever cynicism, and we have sinned against you by speaking ill of others. We have sinned against you by the way we do business, and we have sinned against you in our eating and our drinking. We have sinned against you by greed and oppressive interest, and we have sinned against you through arrogance. We have sinned against you in everyday conversation, and we have sinned against you through conspiratorial glances. We have sinned against you through condescension, and we have sinned against you through stubbornness. Restraint, and we have sinned against you by rashly judging others. We have sinned against you by plotting against others, and we have sinned against you through selfishness. We have sinned against you through superficiality, and we have sinned against you through stubbornness. We have sinned against you by rushing to do evil, and we have sinned against you through gossip. We have sinned against you through empty promises, and we have sinned against you through baseless hatred. We have sinned against you by betraying trust, and we have sinned against you by succumbing to confusion. To page 10 for the additional achetz, starting on the left on page 10. We sin against you when we sin against ourselves and each other. For our failures of truth, O God, we ask forgiveness. For projecting emotions we do not feel. For using the sins of others to excuse our own. For denying our responsibility for our own misfortunes. For refusing to admit our share in the troubles of others, for condemning in our children the faults we tolerate in ourselves, for condemning in our parents the faults we tolerate in ourselves, for passing judgment without knowledge of the facts, for remembering the price of things but forgetting their value, for teaching our children everything but the meaning of life, for loving our egos better than the truth, for not respecting God's image in every human being, for running to do violence, yet crawling to make peace. We turn now to Avinu Malkeinu on page 253, calling upon these two attributes of God, Avinu, which is, please God, we have loving and compassionate fathers, and Malkeinu, the more authority or deen, judgment with the king. And there's something about putting these two together that says we don't want to live in a world without compassion, and we also don't want to live in a world without judgment. And so we hold them together with the sake that we want them to be balanced, and we plead to God, holding those both together. The ark is open, page 243, Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu Lefanecha, Avinu Malkeinu, Ein Lanu Melech, Ein La'atzah. Avinu Malkeinu, Aseh Manu Leman Shemecha, Avinu Malkeinu, Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Batel Ma'aleinu Al Gezerot Kashot. Avinu Malkeinu, Batel Machshavot Zoneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Afer Asat Oivenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kaleh Chotzar Umasim Be'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kaleh Vemher V'cherev V'rav V'shvi V'shchit V'avon V'shmen V'nei B'ritecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Selach Lecha Lecha Lavonotenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Mecher V'aver Plashenu Chatatenu Mineged Einecha. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us for good in the book of life. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of redemption. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of sustenance. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of merit. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of forgiveness. Avinu Malkeinu, kotvenim b'sefer zechuyot. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu atzmach lanu Yeshua b'karov. Avinu Malkeinu, arem terem Yisrael. Avinu Malkeinu, Arem Terem Nishitcha. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu, Chos Rachem Aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kabel V'Rachamim, Uratzon Et Tfilatenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Na'al Tashimenu Rekam Yafanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Zechor Ki Atar Nachnu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol Aleinu Ve'al Aleinu V'Tzafenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Aseh Leman Harugim Hashem Kodshecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Aseh Leman Tivuchim Yechudecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Aseh Leman V'Her Ha'eshu V'Mayim Al Kiddush Shemecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Aseh Leman L'Chaim Le'olam Onenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu v'aneinu, ki ein banu ma'asim. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed, le'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu v'aneinu, ki ein banu Kaddish Shalem, page 245.
יתגדל ויתקדש מרבה
Amen.
בעולמה דברה קידותי וימחמחותי בחייכון ויומכון וחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה בזמן קריב וימרו
Amen.
יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמיה יתברך
יתברך וישתבח וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם וינסה ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו לילה לילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דמירן ואוהבי אמרו
אמן. תיגע בצלצון ובצון בכל ישראל קדם ובן בשמיה ואמרו
אמן. יהי שלום הרבה מן שמיים וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו
אמן. עושה שלום במרומה הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן.
Page 246
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה שלא שם חלקנו כהם ולא רמנו על כן נקבל החיים ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
Mourners Kaddish for those in mourning or marking a yard site, page 247. Yitkadal v'kadash shemei rabba be'amad divrach urte v'yamlich machute b'chayechon uvyamechon uv'chayei dechol beit Israel ba'agala uv'zman kariv v'yamru amen. Yehei shmei rabba v'vorach le'olam olmei omaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei kudesha brichu Leila, Leila, Mikol Birchata V'Shirata, Tushbechata V'Nechemata, Damiran B'Hama V'Yamru Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'Chaim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Yamru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Hama, V'Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael, V'Al Kol Yoshvei Tevel V'Yamru Amen. You may be seated. 3,500 people are gathered here and in 3 other BJ locations on this most holy night of the year in a spiritual experience of closeness and intimacy with each other as a community, with God, with our tradition, with old and new melodies, and forging a common vision for a better world. And that doesn't include all the ones who are at home sleeping, who will show up tomorrow morning. Our community continues to grow, not only in numbers of members, but with its impact on each of us. The quality of our Jewish lives, on the support we give one another in challenging and joyous times, on the wisdom we gain from learning, the uplift we experience from praying together, and the hope we give one another when we work for change through advocacy or acts of loving kindness. This is a spiritual home for so many. And if you haven't found your place yet, come see me. We hope you will find the next year a home for yourself at BJ. Here are some things we know about our community. 40 volunteers provide over 4,000 meals through the Judith Bernstein Lunch Program. 70 teens participated in service learning and social action work. I got to be with about 20 of them in the Dominican Republic this past year, and will be with about 30 of them as we go to Arizona to explore immigration this coming year. 90 Chevra Kadisha volunteers comforted mourners. 452 children from 366 families engaged in our classes and programs. 724 opportunities for prayer and community, including daily and Shiva Minyanim, Shabbat, and holiday services. 4,000 people and plus of all ages joined for the High Holy Days across 40 services. 5,239 people are following BJ on Facebook. 933,500 minutes of our services and programs have been viewed through the BJ live stream. The High Holy Days ups that number in a significant amount. However, there is so much at BJ that is immeasurable, that cannot be counted. The depth of connections, the spiritual growth, the love of tradition, the blessings of milestone moments, the support and comfort in times of need, what we do together to change the world. The impact of BJ goes well beyond our own community and walls. We have 28 Marshall T. Meyer Fellows all over the country and in Israel and in Canada. The music of BJ can be found in shuls all over the world. Our combination of social justice, passionate prayer, and connected community is a model for so many. But what is measurable and immeasurable at BJ must be supported financially. BJ has a $9.3 million budget, operating budget. Only a third of what we need to sustain our operations comes from membership dues. Another third from fees, rental income, and from other sources. And the other third comes from our members in the form of philanthropy. Our Kol Nidre partnership appeal is the lifeblood for our synagogue's operations. It provides over half of our total philanthropic support each year and over 20% of our operating budget, 20% from this night. Our appeal helps us to serve our more than 1,800 member households. And just in terms of making BJ affordable and accessible to all, which is a core principle that we hold, 500,000 of BJ's operating budget allows us to be affordable, That number is given to people who can't afford dues, who can't afford trips. $500,000. That's what allows us to be who we are. It is for this reason that is important for us to have 100% participation in our appeal. We count the things we care about. Now we are counting on you. And I just want to say just 3 examples of this past year that bring to life, I think, what this community means, 2 of which have to do with the community house. When we repurchased the community house in 2010, one of the questions was, we don't want to just have a building, we need a vision for a building. You don't just buy buildings. We don't need more space. Space in Manhattan is extremely expensive. We don't want to buy it for no reason, just because it has history. And when we said we needed a vision for the building, we worked to create a vision. We built a strategic plan. And we are now entering the 5th year of the strategic plan, and basically all the things that we hoped for came to be. This building is being filled, not only with children learning, not only with adults learning, not only with people having places to pray, but we house a Riverside language program, an ESL program. We also house a school that mainstreams children to help support our rent. And day in and day out, that building pulses with energy and power and love. So I want to shed 3 examples on, I think, for me this past year, how that has come to be. So I think many of you, because she stood up here many a time, Rabbi Rachel Cowan, Aleha Shalom, who died about a year ago. This past year, we named our chapel in her memory, the Rabbi Rachel Cowan Chapel, and it holds her books. And we named the chapel not only because Rachel, in her memory, not only because Rachel had an incredible impact on BJ. She, with Marcelo, brought the contemplative practice to BJ. She was a teacher. She created many groups, and a lot of actually the work she did from her earliest days around interfaith couples has translated into so many things. Her justice work has translated into Jewish communities' commitment to justice, all these things. But for Rachel, not only was she a teacher here, but she was a community member. And she knew that that chapel was going to be named in her memory, and why she wanted to dedicate herself to that and have her name be on our chapel, on the BJ chapel, was because BJ transformed her life. She didn't only transform BJ. She had a home here. She found spirituality here. She aged here and really pursued what it meant to be an elder in our community. And so she found a home, and then we gave her a home eternally with that chapel. Another room that was named this year was the Teen Lounge, just about 3 weeks ago, or 4 weeks ago, in memory of Katie Sanders and Lawrence Gardner, who were a fairly young couple in the community who tragically both died from cancer within a short amount of time. Katie was the one who wanted to join BJ. Lawrence wasn't so much into the Jewish stuff in a big way, but he came along, and she chose this community because she knew she had cancer for a long time, that she wasn't going to live for a long time. And she chose this community because she knew that her family would be supported when she was leaving this world. And so her faith in this community set up her family being embraced in those last 3 months of her life, when people were in and out of their home, it was like a train station in their home. Because they invested in this community and they had faith, she had faith, that we would take care of her family. And that there would be a future for her daughter in our community. Unfortunately, Lawrence got sick and he also died a handful of months later. But they had this vision that the teens needed a home at BJ. That was well beyond the limited time that their lives could live. They wanted to plant the seeds for future generations. So just about a month ago, we dedicated a teen lounge in their memory. And the minute the door was open, there were teens just hanging out in the room like I've never seen at BJ. And I've seen teens. I came here for a teen job, by the way. That was my start at BJ. They found a home. They had a place. They have a TV and a microwave, and that's actually what Katie experienced in her Jewish life growing up, that she wanted for our kids. They knew that BJ would transform them, which it did, and in turn, they transformed BJ, essentially planting the seeds for this idea. And finally, this has happened more than once. The generation of kids that have grown up at BJ with really substantial teen programs, those kids are now in their late 20s for the most part. And over the last number of years, more than one of them, several in fact, have said, I'm doing what I do because of BJ. One young woman who's working in Alabama is working on issues of rights, civil rights, and poverty because of her experience at BJ. Another young woman who was working actually on human rights in Kenya attributes her experience on the teen trips to why she's doing the work she does. Across generations, from Rachel to Katie and Lawrence to those teens who are now adults, lives are being transformed. Homes are being built. Sacred sanctuaries are being gone to because of this community. And I imagine everyone here has a story to tell about what matters to you about BJ. So I invite you to think about what matters to you, and then translate that into support. Love makes a lot of the world go round, but it doesn't make the whole world go round. It doesn't turn on the lights. It doesn't create sanctuaries. It doesn't rent out jazz at Lincoln Center, that's for sure. It doesn't hire incredible musicians, the staff that we have, the many ways, the food at Kiddush, the pamphlets, all the things that make this place what it is, the building, not just the building blocks, but the things that let us build together, all cost. So our goal this year is that everyone make a pledge or a commitment. Everyone. If you have a $5 membership because you can't afford the regular membership dues, pledge $1. If you can afford a lot more, pledge a lot more. And if you're thinking of going to one number, think about raising it up. What we raise tonight will have an impact on what we do together in the year to come. So I invite you to think about what this place means, or what this place could mean to you. There's always a not yet part of the story. And I also want to recognize that this year they're different cards. They're not cards, they're papers. We're introducing a new interactive sticker system for indicating your Kol Nidre pledge. Please take one or more of the stickers. Take 10. You have been provided, and apply them to the pledge card to indicate the amount of your pledge. If you have already made your pledge, thank you. Really, thank you. We've actually come in tonight with already $1 million raised for Kol Nidre. But that means we have over $1 million more to go. If you have already, and please apply your sticker to the place indicated for that. As the baskets come around, please be as generous as possible, understanding that you are supporting every aspect of communal life at BJ. Thank you so much, and we're going to sing this beautiful melody that I know moves so many of us. Ya'aleh, let it rise up. Let the rising up of our community support come to be. Thank you in advance. You can hand in your pledge cards throughout the Yomim Noraim, throughout the rest of Yom Kippur. Thank you again. Just a couple of announcements. When we leave at the end of the Bracha Sofit, the final prayer, if you could all leave and bring your machzorim and additional booklets out to the front so we can collect them and they be treated with honor and not be left on the floor. Tomorrow morning, service begin at 9. We always say this, but it's true, which is why we always say it. The tefillah starts at 9 because it's a pilgrimage towards the experience. And it matters, actually, to start at 9. It's a long pilgrimage, I know. It's a lot of minutes, live streams. But that is actually what allows us to break open. There's always a moment in the day that I feel like I got nothing left, like that I break open, and I don't know why that moment is that moment, but it's because I've made the pilgrimage. And so I invite everyone to come early and experience the whole story of the day. Mincha, please come here as your cards indicate. Mincha Ne'ilah starts at 4:30. And the children's procession gathering is at 6:50. Tikiyat HaShofar is at 7:06. Pledge cards will be collected throughout the day. Also, it's hard to believe, but Sukkot is coming up very quickly. And please buy after Yom Kippur, your lulavim and etrogim to fulfill the mitzvah. You can do it at Westside Judaica or flowers by special arrangement. And finally, at the end of the tefillah, after the bracha sofit, we'd like to, Lizzie and Abby and I would like to offer everyone a Gemar Chatzima Tova. at the door, so please let us make our way to the front so we can wish you Shana Tova and Gmar Chatzima Tova. Finally, we, in order to stay as green as possible, we are not reprinting those booklets every year, and so we're going to say thank you, because we normally put the thank yous in those sheets to those who are helping to make these Yamim Minarim so special. So this evening, I want to, of course, once again thank Lizzie Lehman-Crime, who is our Chazanit for how many years has it been? 20-something? 20-something, a high 20-something. To our soloist for Kol Nidre, Inbal Heber, who is incredible. To our Gabayim, Carol Gellis, Hadley Allen, Manor Ben Shaul, Ellen Block, Bob Grunspeck, Melissa Fisher, Susan Fishman, and Les Nelson, who's recovering from surgery but doing really well. He came to the office yesterday. To our head usher, Henry Weinberger. To our other ushers and greeters, Larry Aronson, Firma Focht Hofrichter, Ellen Diane Block, Henry Kessler, Heidi Cohen, Mercedes, Minokal Gregor, Stephen Morey Greenberg, and Lois Siegel. To our pledge collectors, Martha Ackelsberg, Joni Brenner, Madeline Cohen, Helene Hart, Lisa Mednick Owen, Ann Millman, Judith Plasko, and Jeremy Starr. Of course, I hope people know Abby Weber, who's our Marshall T. Meyer Fellow, in her second year. And of course, we're blessed to have incredible musicians that will guide you through the rest of the day while the rest of us make our way uptown. Oded, Tali, Inbar, and John, thank you for your gifts. This is just a way to honor all the people who give, and I hope in the coming year that more and more people will find their place and how you can give to the community. We'll conclude with Adir Venaor, which is on page 7 and 8. If you're so moved to grab the hand of someone next to you. Makor HaChaim, O God, source of life. We stand here before you on the holiest night of the year with the truth of who we are, our heart beating. Some of us are tired out by life, feeling like we can't catch a break. Some of us are lonely, wishing we could connect and experience love. Some of us are in mourning, hoping for comfort, and some of us are sick, praying for healing. Some of us are dispirited and agitated by the state of our country and the state of our world. Some of us are also filled with extraordinary blessings and still face the preciousness of our time on this earth and the fragility of our lives. Oh God, we are so broken, so shattered by it all. Help us to face our brokenness. Help us to see where we have strayed from the path. Help us to listen and be open to the call. Over the next 23 hours, may we be courageous and go to the uncomfortable places and search out who we need to be and what needs to be repaired. Help us to recover our humanity, our compassion, our gratitude, and our love. Help us to hear your voice and find our own purpose in this world. May our prayers and cries and songs and pleas and yearnings rise up to you this evening and be received tomorrow evening. The gates of this most transformative day of the year are open. Help us walk through. Kol Nidre dofek. The voice of the beloved knocks. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Shana tova, gemar chatzima tova.